Thank you, Shamilah, for joining us today, and thank you for taking the time to speak to me. And today we're looking at well-being, our own well-being, and you're going to talk to us about sleep and rest and how important it is to you and the things you do to ensure you get good rest and sleep. Would you mind sharing that with me?
Yes. So sleep is really quite important to me. Um, because if I don't sleep, I just feel like I'll just be tired and maybe grumpy just like anybody else. So usually what I find works for me is I really try to avoid taking coffee at any moment of time. To me, that works for me. Taking coffee, that means it just doesn't work well with my system.
Okay.
I also do a bit of exercise where I can. It
Okay.
helps me. It helps me in getting in a good set of sleep. Really, when the time comes.
Other things that you do or do not do, whether it's at work or home, have you got family? How do you manage things to make sure um, you get to bed in time, you get enough hours rest and stuff?
So, because our nature of work is doing shift work, so that means sometimes you're on an early, and then tomorrow you're on a late, and then the next day you're doing a long day, or another early and a late. So that means in between that, that means I need to come home and prepare. Yes, he'll be already in bed, but then that means I need to prepare for his next day to school, and
Okay.
then I always make sure that I avoid to eat late. That's if I'm doing a late shift and I'm doing an early the next morning. The moment I leave work, I arrange my son's things, then have a wash and go to bed straight, because I don't
Okay.
want to waste a lot of time hanging around, because I still have another day to go.
What about at work? I mean, we're talking about rest and stuff and breaks and stuff at work. Tell me about a little bit about that.
Yeah, at work, usually, let's say I'm on a long day and I did a late, and then the next day I'm on a long day. Usually, during my break time, I always want to give myself at least a good 30 minutes, because it's my break will be 1 hour and a half. So
Okay.
at least I utilize my 30 minutes just to close my eyes.
Okay.
That works for me. Um, it gives me a chance to think properly, and also just wear off that um, the strain and all of whatever has been happening at work. Just closing my eyes for 30 minutes works for me.
It sounds like the rest at work is also quite important because doing a 12, 13-hour shift is quite a long time. And it sounds like that's really important and use that opportunity to make sure you get a bit of a rest. And it's important for you to use that.
I think that's really quite important, because sometimes we tend to work and it's like you carry the whole lot on yourself. By the time you finish that shift, you're really worn out, and sometimes you still have to come back tomorrow for
Okay.
another shift. If you look at it properly, you sometimes it just becomes hard to put in a good amount of sleep, especially for us who have toddlers at home. You
Okay.
also never know what you're gonna find at home. Sometimes the child will not sleep well. That means you're also going to be up, awake, and you still have to go to work and meet the expectations. So it's looking at things like that, for us as staff to also be considerate to each other, whether you have a toddler or not. Uh,
Okay.
Taking breaks at work is very important.
Okay, thank you very much, Shamila, for sharing that. So what I'm hearing is a few different things: that not eating too late, not drinking coffee too late, but also kind of be organizing because you got a toddler and childcare. So is this stuff you do at home to 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 make sure things are in place to ensure you get good sleep, but also at work being considerate to each other, mindful of who did a long day before, fair allocation, but also the importance of having that break during the day, especially if you're doing a long day. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for joining us today. Okay.